I'm a new franchise owner, Chris. Who am I hiring? What am I doing? Am I doing this myself? Am I hiring people? Who am I employing?
Between those two, I would say sales minded because that's the people management side of it.
Yes.
The technical aspect we teach. You scale out an employee, send them here, we teach them for free. Same 2-week training, the full meal deal in here under our tutelage, 90 hours, no cost. So that's the first advantage for us when you onboard an employee. But someone who's managed people between the sales and technical aspect, that's where we find the greatest learning points for new franchisees as they go to kind of that next level of their business ownership is learning to manage people. They've had typically experience in it under the guidelines of large companies that have spent millions on suits and attorneys to create those protocols that they are very rigid about maintaining. And then they go into their own ownership, and now they have staff and employees, and they have loose guidelines from their state that they haven't, HR stuff going across state lines. We can't really get into that area of it, joint employer, obvious issues, but
Sure.
now it's not just the legal, it's the motivational, it's the how do I inspire them, how do I reach them where they emotionally need me to be to get them motivated in the way that I need to. Those are the kind of the nuanced stuff that you can't put in the brochure, that you either got it or you don't. Like, you're a people person or you're a leader manager kind of conundrum.
Mm-hmm.
We ran into that a lot in the fire department. You've got great inspirational leaders that are horrible managers. You've got great managers that couldn't
lead,
lead a fish underwater, right? So, and if you can lead people, management's a skill that can be taught. Right? That's a task. Leadership is a mindset, and I think so. Between sales and technical, you give me a choice, I'm going to go with the sales guy because he has a mindset different that the technical focus sometimes needs to develop in time.
Okay, and how do you guys help franchise owners find clients?
Find clients, digital marketing. Our primary footprint is in the digital space. Scorpion is our web partner. We've been with them. We were their 6th franchise client when they onboarded a franchise division. So we've been with them for about 6 years. And so they've got a really good data set on our customer base and kind of where they're found, what our sales channels are getting them at, and what value each one of those has. Because of our experience in office, we don't have any franchisors, any franchising experience in office. Everyone is a widget person. They're all from the window covering industry, our entire team.
Right.
So we find great partners in this space that we trust and that help educate us in their fields enough to make good decisions on behalf of the franchise, because we're not IT guys. We're not SEO specialists. We don't have that skill set in office. So we find very vetted, proven partners and trust them to do what they do well, much like our manufacturers do. So
it's very smart, because you're doing what you're best at and outsource the things that you're not, right? That's the right way to run a business. Chris, I'm kind of curious, as the COO of the company, you've got, 62 owners, 116 territories. You guys have reached this established franchised status now. You're no longer, just emerging and up and coming. So I would love for you to share with these emerging founders that are hearing this podcast on how did you know, as the COO and also your brother as the CEO, how did you guys know it's like, okay, we can go quicker now. We can scale this more quickly. Internally, infrastructure wise, when did you know it was okay to start turning the dial up?
I think the first real deflection point in our path came when we first looked to onboard a franchise sales organization. We were talking with a few different ones at the time, and they were, varying perspectives on the idea, different models, some equity, some royalty, some nothing. And we found, we're with Franchise FastLane, and we found Franchise FastLane, and they did their vetting process, and they basically said, great, everything looks good. Just so you know, if you onboard with us and you're not ready to absorb the infrastructure, the pressure on your infrastructure, it's going to crush you. And we looked at each other, which at the time was 3, and went, what infrastructure? Like, there's 3 of us, guys. Like,
I'm so glad you're saying this. I love that you're saying this, because so many people are going to relate to this. All right. So then what happens next?
Right. And so, there's a realization of we can't. So we don't. So to the best of my knowledge, I think we're the only brand that's told FastLane no, right? It's self-preservation, but We'll take the stat. And so then it became, okay, well, how do we? And from a very, again, useful skill set of making order out of chaos, which was a previous feature of my day,
Right.
it became, okay, well, we've got all this. It's like cleaning your room when you're a child and it's just a disaster. Where do you start? Right. You end up playing with your toys instead of cleaning the room. And it was that idea of, okay, we can't play with the toys. We have to clean and organize our room. And we have to figure out which piles are bigger than others and where we have to move stuff to be able to do this thing. And then, so it was a function of the really foreign concept of goal setting, right? Like nobody's ever heard of that before. But we said, look, if we're going to do this, these are the elements that we're going to need. So that was in 2019, early 2019, 2020, right? The event that will not be mentioned happened. And it was, oh shit, bluntly. COVID happened, and there were still three of us at the time. We all sat, our desks are in a triangle in the same room. And so we're all looking across the desk at each other. And we're like, guys, there's at the time 52 families that are counting on us to be here. What are we going to do? Like, we're not scaled. There's three of us. How are we going to, we're in home service in a respiratory pandemic. Like,
how are you going to survive this? Yeah. How's the company going to survive this, Chris?
And so, I mean, window coverings, essential services, because I knew how to read municipal ordinances and was writing SOPs for the fire department, I knew the difference in shall, thus, may, must in a municipal document. So I was, send me all your ordinances that say you have to be essential in so many ways to go work. So I'm now receiving 50 some municipal ordinances from our franchisees highlighting 4 to 5 different things, or you only had to meet one to be essential. And I'm like, this, and this, you're essential. Sending it back to them, like, put this on your front seat, go take appointments, guys. And except for the California shops, everybody went to work. So we had, I think through that period, a 47% lift in sales, because so if you were willing to work there, home services, we all know what happened to home services and franchising.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you were willing to get out there and do it, which our guys were, they went and did it. And so we just kept working. Commute was easy. Kelsey, Kevin, and I kept coming to the same office every day. We were making lunches instead of ordering lunches. And so we had a owner in the system that had a lending arm. And so we were looking at SBA, we're looking at PPP, we've got an expert under roof. And so it was just a matter of mustering resources as if I were incident command. Hey, I need a guy over here for this specialty. Great. Who do I got on my resource board? Great. Call up that one. Like, send him over there. And it was just managing order out of chaos. As soon as COVID hit, we knew the goal was out there to scale and expand. So once the hugeness of COVID subsided a little bit and normality started to seep back in, SBA opened up the EIDL, and EIDL became available. And we said, wait a second, I can do a loan. I don't have to sell any of this. We can retain ownership and still do our own thing. And a bit of arrogance, like, our path is the best path, but that's why you franchise it, because you believe in it so much. So we got some EIDL money, said, thank you very much, Mr. Government, and onboarded team, staff, call center, headquarters office, the furniture, cabling, everything that was necessary to do it, and had the runway to scale, and basically, like a buffalo, invest into that storm and say, look, we're either going to build it or buy it, and we don't have the resources to buy it, so we need to build it. So let's go buy the best tools and materials we can in technology and team. And here we are. That was in October 18th. We kind of went plateau with, that was the day all our team started. So that's kind of our next maturity as a full brand, and engage in the IFA and properly engage in the franchising industry. And I think that's why we've seen so much success in the last couple of years. Franchise FastLane's notoriety and reputation certainly didn't hurt, but having that, the team being able to focus there so we could go focus on brand development and engaging that industry and participate in the IFA and Springboard and those events has been like, everything's in alignment. I say a lot serendipity. When our VP of Ops says God's will, it's tough for me to stand here and not believe it's been touched by that powerful hand on a considerable degree.
Yeah.
Everything aligns when we need it to here. And it is a very bountiful feeling of being blessed.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.